There are some stories in business that just seem impossible. The story of Maruti is one of them. It's about how a small, government-backed experiment didn't just succeed, it completely rewrote the rules for an entire nation's industry against all odds. So let's get into how they pulled off this miracle. Really think about that question. This was the reality for the founders of Maruti back in the early 80s. Their job wasn't just to build a car company. It was to do it in a system that was practically set up to make them fail. To really get what a huge deal this was, you got to picture India in the 1980s. We're talking about a time of intense government control, where something like producing cars was seen as a luxury, something to be discouraged, not encouraged. It was a tough place to build anything, let alone something world-class. And look at this. It's like two different planets. On one side, you've got the reality of Indian industry at the time. Choked by red tape, stuck with ancient technology, terrible quality, and this constant battle between management and workers. And then you have the Maruti vision, speed, modern Japanese ideas, putting the customer first, and get this, working with your employees as partners. This wasn't just a new business plan. It was like a completely alien way of thinking. So how on earth do you even start to close a gap that wide? Well, the first move wasn't about building a factory or buying machines. Nope. It was all about getting the absolute right people for the job and then figuring out what car people actually wanted to buy. And wow, what a team they put together. You had V. Krishnamurthy, a total legend who knew how to make things work. Then there was Osamu Suzuki himself, who was so invested he was flying to India all the time, not just sending memos. And then R.C. Bhargava, a guy who left a safe government job because he believed in this crazy idea. This combo was just the perfect storm. And check out how fast they moved. The first idea was for some big Renault car, but then they did something that was, frankly, revolutionary for India at the time. They actually went out and asked people what they wanted. The answer came back loud and clear: a small, modern car that didn't guzzle gas. So boom, they pivoted, signed the deal with Suzuki, and in what was an incredible display of execution, that first Maruti 800 came off the assembly line, on time and on budget. That just didn't happen back then. All right, so you've got the right car. That's a huge win. But now comes the even harder part, actually building it. And to do that, they had to completely demolish the old, slow, inefficient way of working that was just baked into the system. This quote right here, this became the new law of the land at Maruti. Every single new hire was told, right from day one, that the old culture of blaming the system or making excuses for delays was over. The only thing that mattered now was getting the job done. It was a massive mental shift. And they didn't just talk about it. They built this new culture piece by piece. They started with simple things, powerful symbols. Everybody, from the CEO down, wore the same uniform. Everybody ate in the same canteen. It was about tearing down those old walls. Promotions? You got one because you were good at your job, not because you'd been there the longest. And here's the kicker. Your bonus was directly linked to how many good cars rolled off the line. Plus, they sent people to Japan just to see for themselves what a top-tier operation looked and felt like. And did it work? Oh yeah, look at this number. An average attendance of 95%. That's because when people see that the company's success is their success, when they feel like they're all on the same team, everything changes. A number like this was totally unheard of in Indian industry. But look, you can have all the best rules and incentives in the world, and it'll only take you so far. To really make this thing work for the long haul, the leadership at Maruti knew they had to do something even harder. They had to earn genuine trust. And this wasn't just talk. They proved it with their actions. Get the story. A Japanese director saw a mess, picked up a mop, and just started cleaning the factory floor himself. Can you imagine the signal that sends? It's not about titles, it's about getting the job done. It says, we are all in this together. And they back that up with real investment in their people. They were open with the union about the company's finances. They set up programs to help workers buy their own homes. They built great schools for their kids. They were sending a clear signal. When this company grows, you and your family will grow with it. Okay, so they've completely transformed the inside of the company. The culture is humming. Now, Maruti turns its attention outward, to a group that Indian businesses had basically ignored for decades, the customer. Buying a car in India before Maruti was frankly an awful experience. You basically took what you were given. Dealers didn't care about you. Service was a joke. Maruti flipped the entire script. They built clean, modern showrooms. They trained their staff to be professional. They made sure you got real parts for service. And maybe the biggest thing, they created a fair, computerized system to get a car, which cut out the corruption and the endless waiting. For the first time, the customer actually felt respected. So when you pull all these pieces together, the leadership, the culture, the focus on people, the obsession with the customer, what you end up with is a blueprint, a model for success that's just as powerful today as it was back then. And at the very heart of that blueprint is this Japanese idea called Kaizen. It's so simple, but it changes everything. It means continuous improvement. It's the belief that everyone, from the person on the assembly line to the CEO, has a responsibility to find ways to make things just a little bit better every single day. And here's where you see how it all connects. It starts with focusing on the customer, which builds a product people actually want and creates trust. You treat your people like partners, and in return, you get incredible productivity and loyalty. You run the business with discipline, which gives you efficiency, and you never, ever stop trying to get better, which keeps you ahead of the competition. That, right there, was the engine of the Maruti miracle. The story of Maruti is just amazing proof that you can get incredible things done even when everything seems stacked against you. And it leaves you with a really big question, right? If they could pull this off in the India of the 1980s, what impossible problems could we solve today, right now, if we just focused on these same core ideas: people, culture, and the customer?